The difference between me and other people is when they picture an icon, they picture someone they've seen on TV before. I picture myself.
Okay guys, welcome back to Icon Elements with me, your girl, Hallie Halpern. I just gotta start off by saying this whole like video and audio thing with like the fucking microphone, I got my YouTube camera, I got my Alex Earl light, it's just a lot, and I have to move this chair, hold on. My chair was distracting me, my brain just works in really weird ways. This shit takes a while, okay? And like, it's really hard for me to want to like get all dolled up to sit in front of my fucking camera, okay? But I'm here and it's a Sunday, and I'm here on a Sunday, and I'm proud of myself. And I got my chakra candle all lit, and I'm ready to just jump in with you guys, so let's do it. So, again, this is crazy. So let's just start off by saying I'm gonna go into this episode thinking I know what the topic is, but sometimes that shit changes. So if that ends up changing, just go with it. I mean, that's kind of the Hallie way, isn't it? But it's been really hard for me to sit down and want to talk about anything other than self-concept work and, you know, what rewiring the subconscious mind, because that's literally all I've been doing in pretty much 99.9% of my day is that work, outside of actually, you know, like working on my business, but even while I'm working on my business. And it's gotten to the point where it's really hard for me to relate to people or have conversations with even like my closest friends sometimes, because I just feel like nobody is on this wave that I'm on. And it doesn't mean I'm not saying that I am more spiritual than anyone else. I'm just saying that the way that I'm learning shit is something that none of my friends have like, that's not the way that most people I know's brain processes consciousness. Like, it's not that it's wrong that they don't, it's just that there's a lot of different schools of thought and a lot of different practices, and the one that I'm currently really geeking out on is one that a lot of people are not like as interested in, I guess. I don't know how to describe it, but I sound fucking crazy when I talk about it, and that's a new one for me, because, you know, when I first got into spirituality, I need to drink some water. When I first started, ooh, my camera just got really weird. When I first got my ADD, oh my God. When I first got into spirituality, I remember everyone that I was friends with at the time, like going from like 3D consciousness to 4D consciousness was like, you know, everyone thought I was crazy, and like they thought that manifesting was bullshit, and like I was just friends with people that didn't understand it, and that's okay. Everyone's on their own journey and learning things at their own time. And then I finally built a community here, and like I would say 99% of my friends are conscious, like on the conscious journey. So it's kind of interesting for me to feel tongue-tied once again when all of my friends are so deep into this shit the way that I am. But this just specific journey that I'm on, I feel like it's a lonely one. And it's like the kind of thing that I'm really just seeking comfort from podcasts and books instead of through conversations with my friends, because it's just not popular, you know? So, and that's not to say all of my friends aren't on that wave, but it's just not as common. And I'm seeking so much knowledge. Like I'm thirsty for knowledge in a way that I don't think I've been in a really long time. And that is kind of why you guys have seen like this pattern of me bringing all this shit up via my Instagram story, via all of the podcast episodes that I've been doing, because it's such powerful work, and it's actually been blowing my fucking mind. So one of my Instagram followers asked me to elaborate on something that I had posted, which was, you know, it was a TikTok that said like, when you realize that you were the universe the entire time. And it was like the Pedro Pascal like crying and clapping, and like then crying, laughing, clapping, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. And I was like, you know what, I can try to elaborate on it, but also there's so many other podcasts that might be able to explain it better, because I'm still at the beginning of this journey. I'm learning through other people. I'm just now getting into the books, and I don't have all of like the concrete evidence to back everything up the way that a lot of these other people might. But from my personal journey, what's been really going on with me is that I have woken up to the fact that I used to think, and a lot of people think, that when the universe Like that the universe is outside of you and you're asking the universe to help you manifest something, to bring something into your life, whether it's money, love, career success, whatever it is, you ask the universe and then like it's outside of you and it's like up to the universe to just give it to you, right? And that you kind of just like are praying almost to a higher power, the way that people who just believe in like Christianity or Judaism, like God is, right? So it's that it's outside of you and that there's something else, a greater external factor controlling your life and calling the shots. And it's like every time something happens, it's like everything happens for a reason, but like there's a reason this happened for me, not to me, you know, all of that. And like that's all perfect, but that's just one layer. And then recently, I've gotten more and more in touch with the fact that like I am the creator of my consciousness, or I am the creator of my reality, excuse me, and that it's really up to me to be in alignment. And I'm really big into Abraham Hicks. I know that you guys have heard me talk about Abraham Hicks a lot, so please go to their I have on my Amazon storefront one of the books that I read by them, and it changed my life, and I'm gonna read more of them. And basically Abraham Hicks talks about how you just have to change your vibration to be in alignment, a vibrational match to what you want. And it's not about what you want, it's about who you are being. So if I want to be a millionaire, but I am vibrating at the frequency as someone that's in poverty or in scarcity mindset, I'm not at a vibrational match for that. And the only way that it'll come to me is if I am, and that it's actually so much easier than people think. It's not action oriented. It's actually 99% thought and vibration oriented, which triggers a lot of fucking people. And that's why a lot of people don't like Abraham Hicks, because Abraham Hicks talks about the fact that you really don't even need inspired action for the most part. So it's kind of an interesting and an extreme school of thought. But I've always resonated with their teachings just because it felt right to me. And I don't like the way some of this other shit feels so masculine centered almost. Like, just like for example, right now I didn't want to sit down and record this episode, and like I really just wanted to go start this new book that I'm about to read, and I was like, you know, I really just want to sit in my feminine today. But then I realized like I've been sitting in my feminine a lot, and I've been doing a lot of like soul searching and meditating and just giving myself a break. So there has to come a point when you do say, okay, fuck it, like yeah, if I want to see results in my life, I need to go do the work. But there's some people that take it way too extreme, like that it's like way more about action than it is. And if it was more about action, then all of the people that are blue collar workers would be making multiple millions a year, and they would not be making $45,000 a year. And that is the sad truth, is that if it's all about working hard, then the hardest workers in this world would be making far more, not the billionaires that barely lift a finger. You get me? So that is the biggest evidence of proof that it's not action oriented, that it's really thought and vibrational matches. So that's where Abraham Hicks has come in for me. I've been a fan of Abraham for a few years now, but it's like you always just start to learn more and more and more. The more that you listen to the same book or read the same book, or you know, listen to the same podcast, every single time you listen to something or like just get some information downloaded to you, you are going to learn. That didn't make sense. What I'm trying to say is you will always learn a little bit more every time you pick up the same piece of material. And that is what's so fucking cool about learning. And that's why I continue to read and reread and reread the same shit that's changed my life over and over again. So my point being with that is I have learned more and more and more about that. And then as I've said in previous episodes, in January, I got so fucking sick of just not really understanding how my business was kind of like not doing as well, and I was really stressed out and making less money than I'd been used to, and I was just so angry and anxious, and I got so fucking sick of my own shit, and I started listening to a few different podcasts, one of them being Your Manifesting Bestie, who is now my favorite podcast. And that's when I decided to start rejecting my 3D reality in January this year. And then I had my highest sales month of all time in February of this year. So bringing that up is I decided to say, fuck it. And every single thing that was in my 3D reality, which your 3D reality is like what's actually happening in front of you right now. Like you look outside, you see the sky is blue, you get a text, like that's happening in your 3D, right? And I decided to just start ignoring the fact that all of my prospects were ghosting me, or that like I would like get so excited for a sale like with a new exciting client and they would ghost me. Like it was like I was constantly reaffirming this negative belief cycle that all of my prospects ghosted me, that my business was failing, that I wasn't meant to be doing this anymore. And I just got so sick of like being like, see, you're right. See, I told you, Hallie. See, I told you. And I started being like, fuck it. I'm not even gonna reach out to any of these people anymore. Like, I'm starting fresh, starting January 1st. Like, I am rich as fuck starting January 1st. Like, I just started reframing all that. And if you guys haven't watched or listened to my past 2 podcast episodes, those talk a lot about this more as well. But so I did have a lot of changes in February. And then in March, it was kind of interesting because I like had a really weird March. And what I kind of realized, and this is kind of where we're going with this today, is I think I self-sabotaged myself. Things got so good in February. I quantum leaped so far into my desired reality where it literally felt like I quantum leaped, like I switched timelines. I had my highest sales month. Things in my social life were going the way that I wanted them to. And March hit and I don't know, like I was getting really anxious for Miami Music Week because I knew I was gonna be around a lot of people. There was a lot going on in the back end of that. A lot of pressure I was putting on myself to make sure that I would perform the way that I needed to get the kind of clients that I wanted to make a good impression in the music industry. And also the added pressure of making sure that I said no to doing drugs because I used to like do drugs a lot when I was like younger, and I really don't want to be that person anymore. And also making sure that I didn't embarrass myself or get too drunk, which I've also had a history of doing, especially with the level of social anxiety I have. I drink to tame that anxiety. So March, I had my priorities in the wrong place. I was in a very obsessive mind state. I was in a very toxic, obsessive mind state for all of March. I was planning my outfits and everything around seeking the approval of certain people, making sure that like I looked cool in this certain way. And I mean, I did look cool as fuck and everybody did love me and everything for the most part did work out great. There's a little bit of drama that happened, but it's all good, you know? It's kind of funny because sometimes after Music Week, I kind of like had this long week of just recharging, and I realized that things would have been just so much easier for me if I hadn't just been so hard on myself. I know I might be rambling right now, I always am, but things would have been so easy for me if I hadn't been so hard on myself. And where I was going with that was, I took a little reflecting look at the way that I interacted with everybody during Music Week and the way that I was treated. And I would say 90% of the people treated me exactly how I wanted to. I literally walked up to every single fucking event and either I knew the person working at the ticketing booth, like, and I was, you know, on the motherfucking list for everything. I was getting said hello to left and right by everybody that I knew in the industry. I was treated like a fucking icon. I felt like a celebrity. I was dressed like a celebrity, and everybody made me feel cool as shit. And listen, I worked my fucking ass off for this. I have put in the work, and I don't care if it's cringe to say any of this because I am cringe and I don't give a fuck. I am becoming that bitch. That was all awesome. I also had a friend of mine pull me aside and drunkenly tell me multiple of my affirmations that I say in the mirror all the time. So I know that this shit works. I know that this shit works. It's crazy when you hear your affirmations repeated back to you. So we're gonna start there. Now, I'm just gonna say, without, you know, saying, yeah, when somebody or a situation happens that is not like ideal to what you're looking for, it has nothing to do with them, and it has everything to do with you. And that has been so fucking hard for me to process. I don't understand how this is possible. Like, I don't understand, like, wow, it's 444 on the, wow, okay. I don't understand how this is possible. Like, I mean, I do, but I don't. Okay, I'm getting tongue-tied because I keep seeing angel numbers fucking everywhere after saying this. When you are treated in a way that is unfavorable, it's bringing out a shadow inside of yourself. So if everybody, like for my situation, if most of the things went right and one thing didn't go how I wanted it to, think about like why that is. Like, what is the what was the situation? What was different about that situation? Were you having a lot more resistance to the situation because it's of a higher importance to you? That is a huge thing that I've also learned as I've been working on my self-concept work, is I am getting a lot of attention, but not the kind that I want, you know, not from who I want to get attention from, but that's because there's the path of least resistance. So yeah. That's how it works, is you have to, it's almost like a video game and the levels get harder, and as you get closer and closer to what you really want, there's gonna be more resistance there. So the whole trick here is about letting go and detaching, because holding on to that shit, and that's what I was doing all of March, is I was getting so attached, and like I felt this like gross, like obsessive, clingy energy, like manifesting certain outcomes in my life, in my career, in my social life. And I was just like, this is gross. Like, this is like not me. And I felt myself like off my pedestal, and I felt other people being put on the pedestal. And it reminded me a lot of the way that I used to be before the whole Hallie icon brand came to be. That insecure little bitch that I fucking killed, the old me, you know? That was kind of how I started to feel. And like, no one wants to feel like that. That's such an icky, disgusting feeling. And after Music Week, it like slapped the shit out of me, where I was like, you are never ever letting yourself feel like this ever again, you know? Even though, again, like I said, like 90% of it was fucking perfect. So my point is that, just like, for me, one of the things I need to work on is being grateful for everything that did go right instead of the one thing that didn't, you know? Because I had some really fucking iconic memories during Music Week. And yeah, honestly, I love the music industry so much. I really do. I'm so grateful. I made a lot of great connections as well. Take my networking course. Okay, so I don't even know what okay, so now let's get really into the meat of it. I realized, okay, I need to put myself back on this pedestal, but not only do I need to put myself back on this pedestal, I need to learn how to like actually truly love myself, not in like from like an ego-centered place, or like not from like a shallow place, but loving myself on a deep level. Because you guys, like, everyone feels good when like you're dressed sexy and you have makeup on, and like, you know, you're strutting down the street and listening to hoe anthems, you know? And for me, it's like I needed to, and still am trying to figure out how to love myself when my hair is fucking, you know, like knotted and dreadlocked from sleeping weird, and when I, you know, have a pimple, or on my period, or maybe like I'm holding on to some water weight, or maybe I didn't like get the kind of attention I wanted, which again is all back to what's going on inside of me, right? Like, that's a direct reflection. So I feel like I haven't really explained that, so I'm gonna go back and explain that now. I know that I'm all over the place, but I don't give a fuck. So what I was trying to say before about how before it was the universe is a higher power, and you're asking outside of you for it. But now, new knowledge, you are the universe. The universe made you in its like reflection. Like you are created, derived from the universe. Like, it's almost like the universe like gave birth to you, right? And inside of you is the powers of the universe. So think of it just like you are essentially the universe experiencing itself in millions and billions of different bodies all around the world. That is what I believe in. And I've always known that, but like actually knowing it and like knowing it are two different things. So now it's like, okay, if I am the universe, right? I'm creator of my reality, but it's like, I've been trying to figure out, so when I ask for something, I'm really asking myself for it. I really am just trying, I just need to get out of my own way. And another thing that's been blowing my mind is when you desire something, it's literally already happening for you in another timeline. And that the whole timeline thing and the whole, all of that, like all these different timelines and the fact that there's all these alternate realities happening simultaneously because time isn't real, that's some shit that I can't even fucking get into right now because I still can't wrap my mind around it. But I'm gonna accept that that's true, and I'm gonna accept that the reason that I desire everything on this planet is because in another reality I already have it. And that's fucking awesome to think about because I do want all the things that I want. Now, let's talk about the best way to be magnetic and to get all these things that you want and to be able to have faith that everything is working out in your favor is by building your confidence and by really just actually loving yourself. And for me, it's been really, I've been sent a lot of triggers to kind of get me there. So I noticed, you know, it doesn't matter if I get like a billion compliments, if it's not like from like the specific people that I want, I genuinely don't give a fuck about any of the compliments. And then I'm like, okay, why do any of these compliments matter at all? Because I really only need to hear validation from myself. So that's been a huge thing for me, is like trying not to let the behaviors of other people affect my happiness and my mood for the day. And that has been really hard. Naturally, it's kind of hard when you care a lot about people to not let it affect you. But I think that there's something really freeing in knowing that everything in the 3D is a delayed reflection of where your mind's at. So if something blows up in your face or someone says something really mean to you, like you just have to kind of like laugh it off and be like, yeah, like something inside me triggered that. And that's also really hard to like swallow that pill. It's really hard. I know. I wish that I could explain this better than I have, but I'm doing my best. But so let's get into how I want you guys to focus on genuinely loving yourself from a genuine place and not from an ego-centered place, which again, I love my ego and I definitely use my ego in a huge part of my brand. But it's not healthy to only love yourself from like that place, because that's going to be situational and that is going to be very fragile, you know? So I listen to love songs and I dedicate them to myself. I know that might sound, I don't care. So I listen to like sensual, sexual love songs, and instead of picturing them with another person, I picture them with myself. And that makes, it's really uncomfortable at first, but it makes you able to see yourself as a sensual being and like kind of just realize like you deserve to like be turned on and like to like be loved and ravished and all this stuff. And again, if it's uncomfortable, then like you need to be doing it, you know? That's just how it is. So I'm listening to like sexy ass music, I'm imagining me fucking myself, and I'm like, yeah girl, yeah, let's go. And that shit, all jokes aside, it's really powerful. Also, definitely, I'm gonna say it, this is actually really fucking uncomfortable and hard for me to do, but I've been working on it, is, you know, moaning my own name when I do my self-pleasure practice. Again, it feels super cringe. It's not easy for me, but yeah. Outside of those sexual things, well, and then you guys already know that I love mirror work, but my version of mirror work, W-E-R-K, which is, you know, dancing sexy in the mirror and, you know, like in hot outfits. And again, that's a lot of ego-centered like work, but it's sexy and I love it. On like more of like an intense level, it's like actually hugging myself, like giving myself, like wrapping my arms around myself and hugging myself when I'm sad, and putting my hands to my chest, like over my heart when I'm also like, when I need a hug, because it literally feels like a hug. And it's really also humbling as fuck to give yourself like that kind of sensual, or like just like that kind of protection. And you don't realize how much you need it until you do it. To be there for yourself on like a really deep emotional level. I also have been like just, let me think about this for a second. When I'm like doing any mundane activity, I picture myself looking at myself from the outside, and I think like, oh, that's so cute how she does that. It's so cute how she, you know, cooks dinner. It's so cute how she puts on her little fuzzy socks to like snuggle on the couch. It's so cute how she, I'm actually getting emotional, oh my God. Woo, I didn't expect that, I'm on my period. It's just like when you, when you actually look at yourself from the outside in, and you really sit there and you think like how beautiful I am to be doing this mundane activity and to make it look so magical. And it's so humbling to give yourself the kind of love that's not from an ego-centered place, and that's not something that I do a lot with myself. And I do a lot of like, sometimes it's actually really hard for me to turn off like my little, like my character. You guys know like my character, the way that Paris Hilton had her like voice with her character. She wasn't actually a dumb bimbo, she just pretended to be one. I'm the same way, you know. I actually just came up with a really funny Instagram caption earlier, and I'm gonna use it later this week, and it's body like a trophy wife, mind like a mogul, bitch, you know. But anyway, I think that that's iconic. But when you really try to give yourself that, like the same way that you would admire your like a loved one, like someone that you're actually in love with, you know, and you apply that to yourself, like I can't help but start to cry every time I actually reach myself on that level, because it's just like there's so much trauma and so much deep down like inside that we're all holding on to, and it's just like wounded inner child shit, you know. And I try really hard again to reject the 3D and to live in my desired reality, because that's what creates it. And sometimes it can be really hard because I feel like you can bypass your emotions that way too, so it's like they have to come out somehow. And there's just so much that goes into this work, you guys, and this is kind of one of the reasons why I've been just like spending a lot more time alone, because I'm really trying to get the answers here, and I'm sharing them as I find them with you guys, because I really want you to be able to live your best possible life as well. This work is not easy, you know. It's deep shit. I'm actually sitting here like, fuck, what am I gonna put for the Instagram reel? Because I haven't said enough funny shit, so I need to think about that. One thing that I find is really important as well is I have been working on avoiding as much as possible replaying past scenarios of situations in my head that make me feel bad about myself, that are unpleasant, because there's absolutely zero fucking point in doing that. 0 point. It's just, there's nothing. The past is the fucking past, and you need to drop that shit and leave it there, because every fucking second you are creating a new reality. So just leave the past in the past. Like, laugh at it. It's fucking done. Bye, bitch. Bye. You know? And there's just so much peace in knowing that like the only moment that really matters is this present moment, and circumstances don't matter for manifesting anything. That is probably the most beautiful piece of knowledge that I've gotten from this new way of thinking, totally, is that circumstances don't matter. It doesn't fucking matter, you know, like they don't at all. Just like stop thinking about it. Stop thinking about it completely. I also, it's really funny because I feel like sometimes people, when I post like emotional shit, people are like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, like, but I'm hot and I'm funny, so it's okay that I'm not okay, because I don't really know a single attractive, funny person that is also mentally stable, and I know which 2 out of 3 I'm gonna choose every single time. I think that the really big common theme here also is just like when it comes to self-love, you have to realize that like you are the prize, and you have to start listing everything about yourself that is so fucking awesome and iconic. And every time you start to think that you need external validation, refer back to that list, okay? Like I have a list in my notes and I refer back to it all the time, and I'm like, wow, like I have a really long list of things that I love about myself and why other people should love me too. And remember that like you're gonna get back what you put out when it comes to your self-concept, and like no one is more magnetic than somebody who loves themselves fully, okay? Like, and I know that might sound cliche and corny, but it's so true. And they're like, falling in love with yourself is so beautiful, and this has just been such a journey for me, and I'm still working on it, and I hope you guys all fall in love with yourselves too. And I'm losing steam, so have a beautiful day. I love you. Let me know what you think of this one. Bye.